Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I was going to show you how you can make a really easy junk journal using a greeting card. So these are some greeting cards I picked up at the Dollar Tree. They are the special like end cap cards that they have for a lot of the holidays. I think they have them for Halloween, I know Christmas, but I picked up two of these Nutcracker ones. I also have two gingerbread themed ones that I have made journals out of already, but these are just an easy way. You can use them as a cover and they just make a really cute little junk journal. This one is probably 4 by 8 or 8.5, but you can make them whatever size the card is what you could make them into. So anyway, the one I made is here. These will be in my Etsy shop, so I will put the link down below. So this one is super adorable. I'm actually going to cover this up. I forgot that back on there, that was on there. I'm going to cover that up though. But it is one signature, and I used the pamphlet stitch on it, and it's pretty chunky for one signature. And I made a tassel and I just attached it to a paper clip since it doesn't really have a spine. I mean, it has a spine, but it's not thick enough to put a little pole or anything like that. So I made this really fun tassel. I had this stuff that I had picked up on clearance somewhere, but it's this fuzzy chenille pom-pom, kind of like a pom-pom trim, but it's not, you can't sew it. It doesn't have an edge. Anyway, it's tied up with this vintage lace, and it's just, the tie is separate here, but I'll just do like a real quick flip through. I haven't added any goodies to the inside of this, but I added some different papers and some vintage book pages from different Nutcracker books. I added pockets and tuck spots. This is a lunch sack. Different colored papers. I'll show you the paper pad that I used on this one. It's really fun. Nutcracker ballet. This is a little pocket. This is some Nutcracker wrapping paper that I had from wrapping presents for my daughter in the past, so I just kept some of it. So yeah, it's just really super fun, and it's a pretty easy to make. I did sewing throughout, so as you could see there, and then I added some trims and laces along the sides and throughout the book. I also have this Nutcracker die that's KS Craft, and I'll link it down below. I got it on Amazon. It's really cute. It's a pretty meticulous die to use, but it turns out super cute. I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on making this. So we have the card here. They always come in these plastic protectors, and it also comes with the envelope, so I use the envelope in my book as well. So I go ahead and tuck the flap in, or you could leave it out if you wanted and just cut it in the middle, because I'm folding this in half, and then you can have like a flap to cover up your tuck spot. But I'm just going to go ahead and put it inside, and then when you put this in the book, you'll have a little pocket. And actually what you want to do is, I ended up cutting off the end because this is not a very wide, it's wider. It's not as wide as this would be folded in half, if you know what I mean. So we're going to go ahead and fold it to where it's the width, and then trim this off, or you could leave it like fold that in. I think that's what I actually did. Or fold it this way. Let's go ahead and do that instead of cutting it off. You could cut it off and then glue one side or sew one side, but so we have it like that. Okay, and so that's there's the card. As I said, I'm going to cover that up on both of them, but I use this is an old hot buy from a couple years ago from Michael's Holiday Ballet, and I absolutely love it. So that's the paper pad. I brought papers from that, and then I went ahead, I cut some laces and trims here that I'm going to use in the book. I pulled out my pieces from the paper pad already that I want to use. I have some of this fabric left over from another Nutcracker book that I did. So I cut a piece, and this will be a flap on a page. And then I have all of these papers. So I have some of that wrapping paper. I have these, and I actually already altered a couple of these. I'll show you. I made this one and this one. That's how that's gonna do. I'm not gonna show you what this isn't gonna be in this video, but and then I altered this bingo card. I also have some images here. I have this really cute ballet of Marie, a picture of her, and then Santa holding a nutcracker, and then I printed out some Nutcracker music sheets in tiny version to stick in the pockets. So that's what I have there. I also have, well, here's these pieces that I'll have to alter, the bingo card and then the other two, but I'm going to do that at a different time. And then these are just extra pieces. There's that. This is just some leftover. So let's just go ahead and stick that over there. And then I went ahead and already folded and cut my papers down to size. So you just need to make sure that they are the right width, either by cutting them to make them that width or folding your pages. So most of mine, I think I just folded and cut down the height as well. I have a doily. Here is a ledger paper, manuscript paper. There's a lunch sack, and I actually folded it the correct width, and then whatever was left over on this side, I chopped that off. And I have all these here. So I usually like to start with a piece of my scrapbook paper. So with this one, I was working with what I had left of my pad. So I have two different scrapbook papers to use. On this one, I used this one, and let's see, where is it? And that one. But I didn't have two of those left over, so I went ahead and picked out these two. So I'm going to go ahead and start with, I think I'll start with this one. No, I'll do this one. And then just go ahead and layer my papers in. And I like to variate them, or however you want to say it. Just pull from different, either plain papers or book pages. Put a book page there. And I'll put in that wrapping paper. And then the green. And then after I put them all together, if I need to take some off the edge or whatever, I'll do that. I'll go ahead and take my other scrapbook paper and go ahead and add in my other sheets. I'm going to stick this envelope back here, I think. Stick it here. And then that will be my center. And since I'm going to be adding in laces and things, I think all of my widths are fine, because by the time I sew it, it's all going to be coming out there anyways. So if you know what I mean by that. All right. And then that will go in like that. So now I'm going to take my optional items here, all of my laces and trims, and go ahead and add them with some paper clips and then take them over to the sewing machine. Alright, I picked several different laces and trims that I wanted to put on the edge of the papers here, and I just kind of do this randomly, but I try to space them out throughout the book so it looks really nice and, you know, along the edge. I love just adding all these different things, going through my stash and finding everything I can to just add to the book. I think it just adds so much more character and texture, color, whatever, to the book. So I had a scrap of that little lace there, or it was like a mesh, so I'm going to sew that to the edge as a little tab. Also my ribbons on the side and the rickrack. And then that piece of fabric there I will sew along the top to make a little hidden space there that you can flip up and add in pictures or whatever. And then the mesh I'm making into a belly band. That's a fun vintage lace that I had in my stash. And then I'm going to sew that on for a little pocket in the front cover. I also have that piece of scrap that I'm going to make into a pocket on the back, so that will get sewn in. And then I have that little strip that I'm just going to, I think I end up gluing that in, and that as well. So I try and find scraps that I have to make belly bands and pockets and just decorations. I'm done with that, so now I'm going over to my sewing machine. I'm going to start with the cover and just go ahead and start sewing all of my elements in. I started with the pocket there. Now this is just a little noodly when you try and put it under your sewing machine. You have to hold the pages a little bit, but I think it's still doable, and yeah. So on this one, I also made the cards have an inner page, so I ended up sewing that inner page on the ends, so it makes a side pocket as well. And we'll try and look at that at the end of the video here. If not, it will be in my flip through of this book, which I'll link down below. So now I'm going to sew the back belly band on that page. This is on the inner paper that's on the inside of the card. The cover is probably the hardest to sew in just because you can't, it has the spine and it also has the inner paper. So once we get through the cover, the rest of the pages are pretty easy. Now, as far as sewing with the sewing machine, I use a regular standard needle, I use regular thread, but I like to use the zigzag stitch, and I put it like, I usually put it at, it's the wider zigzag stitch, and I go up to like a 3.5 stitch length. So I have this Brother machine. I'll try and find a link for this machine. I love this machine. I've used it for years and never really had any problems with it. So just continuing on here, just adding more of my laces onto the sides of the papers. And you just want to go through and stitch everything in. Obviously, it's easier to sew before you put your pages into your book, or like do this, sew it into the spine. But I've gone back and added things to the edges of my papers, and after I've sewn it into the spine, obviously it's, you know, a little bit more noodly to try and hold the book and the pages and get it under your sewing machine, but it is doable. But obviously this way is a lot easier. With some of the trims like this one, you kind of just have to hold things in place and move it along. And it's easier the more you practice and the more you do it. So for me, it's just a lot easier. If you are really having a hard time with it, you can just go ahead and tack it down with a little bit of tacky glue in certain spots to hold it in place, and then go back. Now I'm just doing the belly band that is going horizontally on this one, and then going ahead and adding this trim. Sometimes I'll hold pieces with a paper clip and then take it out right before it stitches, just so I could hold it in place. This was a fun ribbon that I picked up from Temu. It's a velvet ribbon. And then I had some pom-pom trim in my stash. Not sure where this came from, but it has a little gold tinsel sort of woven through it. So that added a lot to this. Thought it was a fun Christmas pom-pom trim. I have a thread cutter on the side of my machine, so if I'm not using my scissors to cut the thread, then I use that. It's just a lot quicker for me. I'm used to doing that with my sewing. Some machines don't have that, but this one does. It's a very convenient feature. After sewing all the pieces, I'm just going to get them all lined up here and put paper clips at near the spine of the book. Just make sure your pages are all as close together as possible. put them in all 4 of the sides here. And then we're going to poke holes, 3 holes in there for the pamphlet stitch. So I have my little bookbinding kit here. I'll link this down below. It's from Amazon. But it has some really nice needles in it. It has the paper piercing tool. It also comes with the binder clips if you want to use that. Some scissors, some wax thread, just a bunch of different items. There's a bone, one of these bone folder things, nice and sturdy too. A ruler, yeah, a bunch of things, but I'll just be using the paper piercer and one of the needles. And it has a variety of sizes, but I like to use the one that has one of the ones that has a bigger hole, because I will be using some red and white twine. And this was from the dollar spot at Target, but you can also get it at Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, or the Dollar Tree. But I just happen to have this. So just need to thread my needle. Sometimes it's a little tricky. You can put a little bit of glue on there if you want, or just kind of twist it together. Still didn't get it through. All right, now I would usually make my thread 3 times the height of the book, roughly. So 1, 2, and 3, and I find that that gives me enough wiggle room when I'm tying the signature together. You don't have to knot it or anything, just pull it a little bit through the needle. Now we want to take our needle and go down through the center hole from the middle of the book to the outside. Pull it through until you have about 1 inch away from the edge of your paper. And then you're going to take your needle and go back either through the bottom or the top hole. It doesn't matter which one. And you'll go back into the center of your book, and you'll pull it all the way through until it's nice and flat there. Make sure you're still about 1 inch away from the edge of your page on the inside. And then you're going to take your needle and you're going to go down to the bottom or the top, the complete opposite of the one that you started with. And you go from the inside to the outside, or to the outside. And then, then you'll pull that so it's taut, and then you'll go and take your needle and put it through the middle from the outside in. And what you want to do is put your needle the opposite side from your starting string there. So this middle string is in the middle of, in between the two. And you'll see what I mean when we get here. So just pull that through, and then you can take your needle off. Now if you want to make this string longer, you can. So I'm just going to adjust it so I have an even string on both sides. So you just pull it and make this however long you want it. And then you'll just have to adjust it on the outside and then pull your shorter string through. So just make sure that this middle string is in between these two like this. Hopefully that was understandable. And then now you just want to make sure that that's tight on the outside and then on the inside. Now you're going to take your two strings and just tie a double knot. And then you can either leave it like this, tie little beads on the end, but I'm just going to make a bow in the center. And that's how I usually do mine. So just make a tight little bow, adjust your loops there to however long you want them to be, and then that's it. And if these are too long on either one, you can trim them, but I'm going to leave them like that. And that is our pamphlet stitch. So now you can take off these paper clips. Just be sure that you don't get anything caught when you pull them off. And I've just noticed that this is a little, that's broken there, so I'm going to have to do something with that. All right, so there's that. And I have just the final items here for the book. I have my tassel that I made already. I just did this on the end of a paper clip. Since I don't have an actual spine, like a, you know, like a half or a spine to poke a hole in for a regular ring that I normally use, I just use the paper clip, and then I can just paper clip it onto the front. And then whoever receives this can take this off if they want and put it on a page or whatever. And then one thing I want to do is this, since this is a card, it has this wording on the back that I don't really like. So I just cut a piece out of one of my gift wrap of the Nutcracker, and I'm just going to glue that on top of there. If you wanted, you could put a pocket there, but I'm just going to cover it with some, just with this little piece. And stick it down. Just like that. And then it's ready to add any other embellishments in there that I want. And I also need to add all my little goodies. But I'm just going to take this piece of vintage, it's like a seam lace, and I cut it big enough to double wrap it. So I'm just going to start with a nice length on the left and wrap it around a couple times and do a bow. Now if you wanted to glue in a tie, you could on the inside cover, but I'm just doing this for now. And I think I made the one side a little bit too long, but that's okay. I'll adjust it because I still need to go in and add all the stuff, but there's that. So that makes a cute little junk journal, a traveler's notebook style, and super easy. Nothing really complicated or different from making a normal signature, but super cute using a greeting card from just about anywhere that you wanted. This one, since it's already layered, it's already embellished. You don't have to do any more embellishing to it if you didn't want to. But if you had like a flat card, you could add things to it, sew things on, whatever. But this is just an easy way to make a really cute junk journal. So hopefully you guys are inspired by my video, and you'll take a look at this on my Etsy shop. I also have the gingerbread theme. I also have Polar Express, but those aren't greeting card journals. Those are more of an actual book journal. And then I have one nativity little golden book journal that I just posted as well. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.